Yo guys, what's going on? My name is HackingIsFreedom and welcome to the 16th episode of What Was Cut, a series where we take a look at what exactly was cut from our favorite games. Today we're going to be talking about Postal 2. Man, I remember when they tried to ban this game. Pretty much like Manhunt, GTA, Thrill Kill, and I believe The Suffering was in there as well. Also, I'm still pretty sure to this day Postal 2 was banned in Malaysia, Australia, Germany, New Zealand, and Sweden. I sadly haven't gotten to play much of the Postal series, as again, I've been a console player all my life. But this game specifically, I do remember playing at a few of my buddies' houses. I thought it was so much fun. It always reminded me of GTA. Anywho, let's go fucking Postal and figure out what was cut.
Sorry folks, the Bible backs me up on this one.
First up, we're going to be talking about the unused textures, and a lot of these I actually find quite interesting. These first two textures are of helmets for the SWAT team. They oddly don't wear any helmets in the final game, although I feel like this would have made their appearance much cooler. In the files of the Share the Pain DLC, which is actually the DLC that introduced multiplayer, these two textures were supposed to be used for an also cut team called Team Hood, although they never really got much further in development. These two textures and some Voicelines are sadly the only remnants of this team. This texture is some sort of map overlay for each objective, starting on Friday and ending at the Postal Dude's trailer. This may have been from an earlier point in development, or is possibly used for the also cut Apocalypse mode, that sadly only has Voicelines left, which I do cover later in the video as well. Here's the early map texture. That's why I think the previous one was possibly used for an overlay for this map, as it lines up pretty good. There's also an early loading texture that was seen in 2002 E3 footage, and it's surprisingly still left in the game's files. These 6 textures were all used for HUD icons, and they were supposed to be used on the early map I just showed off a few moments ago. You can also see a completely cut pot leaf that's labeled as medicinal herb, and that was going to correlate with this texture, which is of the actual weed itself. Lead designer Murphy Black confirmed that this was supposed to be a weaker version of the health pipe we currently have in the game. An earlier version of the Molotov texture can be found in the file labeled as weaponskins.utx, and it seems to be much lower in quality, especially the glass. And in the final game, this texture is split up. The glass and rag textures are separate from the labeling, while this early version has them all together. These two textures are also left in the weaponskins.utx file, and they're both related to the Molotov as well. The left one is for the glass, and the other is labeled as P2 Molotov juice. So it seems they had plans for the glass to be transparent so you can see the liquid inside, similar to how the Molotov looks in the Left 4 Dead series. These two textures are early versions of the gas can, and they're both cleverly named Test 1 and Test 2. Apparently, at one point in development, the hate groups that are listed on the map were originally just a plain written list. Obviously, the pictures that we have now are much better than this. The cow head seemed a lot different in earlier builds, as the old texture is still in the game's file. To me, it looks more like a pig's head here, possibly because of the big snout. It does seem to be a bit unfinished, though. There's also early textures left over for the rocket launcher, as well as the textures for the fuel gauge. These were originally used as loading screens in the demo, but for some reason they're still left in the game's files. I just find it funny that these two loading screens here are basically making fun of you for playing the demo. In the files of the Paradise Lost DLC, you can find a temporary billboard texture that was obviously used as a placeholder for the Winter Wonderland billboard. 3 temp textures of a shovel with different stages of blood written on it can be found in the game's files. These were most likely used to test the blood-stained weapons. It's interesting to note that there's 3 stages here, while the final game only has 2. And finally, we have a few textures for various protest signs. Most of these signs were going to be used by an also cut group of church and meat protesters, while the others were probably going to be used by the book protesters. Next up, we're talking about the few cut models. A model of a wallet can be found in the file labeled as benmesh.usx. This was most likely going to be used as an alternate version for the money pickups. There's another model of a medkit that's left over in the timb.usx file. For some reason, this model does have an inventory icon, which was actually reused in the Paradise Lost DLC, so it seems medkits were probably usable on the go like food items at one point in development. This model of a redneck seems to be from a very early point in development, as it has an entire static mesh package dedicated to it. And if you didn't know, almost all of the NPCs in this game don't have their own packages. This was most likely a test model, probably for scale referencing. The fire in the hole sign at one point was a 3D model, as opposed to the 2D one that we have in the final game. No idea why they decided to change this. Maybe it was for performance reasons? There's an earlier version of the napalm launcher that seems to be much cleaner than the rusty one that we have in-game. This can be found in the Ben Mesh file as well. Again, in the Ben Mesh file, there's another earlier version of the hunting rifle. It once again looks cleaner than the one used in-game. These 8 models were all used in the A Week in Paradise mod, but they were present in the main game before the mod was made. All of these were obviously never used in the base game. The model of the token looks like a cork to me. Finally, we have one of the strangest cut models I've ever seen on this series so far. This model of a Magic Koopa resembles the design seen in the Super Mario World television series. It can be found in the file labeled as aw7mesh.usx, and the model itself is labeled as Kamek, which is actually the name of one of the developers of the A Week in Paradise mod. Next, we have some voice lines for various characters, and Postal Dude himself has a ton that were never used. These first lines were spoken by various NPC cops, and apparently there was supposed to be some sort of legal gun mechanic. As you may know, certain weapons don't set the cops off, but yet they never speak these lines in-game.
I hope you have a permit for that. It's probably not a good idea flashing that piece around. Just watch where you're pointing that thing, son.
Remember I mentioned the cut church and meat protesters earlier in the video? Well, they have some voice lines too.
Sins, go away. God loves us, straight or gay. No more beef, moo. No more beef, moo.
This voice line was supposed to be used for a generic male NPC. In the game's code, this voice line is commented out with text from the developers reading, "Sounded bad, he chanted it instead of screamed it."
Attica! Attica!
So it seems whoever this voice actor was, he completely messed up the line. This line is from Vince Desi, and there's no information on where it was supposed to be played. Although, like you'll hear later in the video, it seems to be a cut voice line from when muggers were in the game.
I tell you to get your stuff, but somebody already took your shit.
The final voice lines are from Dude himself, and there's quite a lot of them to go over, so I'll try to go through them as quickly as I can. If you remember that map overlay that showed a path to Postal Dude's trailer, I mentioned it may have been used for a cut game mode called the Apocalypse. These lines are also for that mode.
Shit, how far away do I live anyway? Man, this apocalypse is some heavy shit. Let me fix that. I better get my ass home before some psycho shoots it off. This seems like a good route. Damn, looks like it's not gonna be so easy to get home this time.
These voice lines are for when Dude is idle and standing around.
Does my voice annoy you? Yeah, I feel like I'll get hepatitis if I touch anything in this fucking town. Jeez, if the sheriff turns out to be Don Knotts, I'm gonna kill everyone and then myself. No, really, does the sound of my voice get on your nerves? It bugs me sometimes. Nothing a coat of paint and some antibiotics can't cure.
These voice lines were for when you were playing as a pacifist.
Don't these people have jobs? Crap, looks like everyone in town had the same idea. A long line. I suppose it was inevitable. Jeez, looks like a goddamn town meeting. Ooh, that's gonna be quite a wait.
These voice lines are all miscellaneous quest dialogue.
Hey, Ayatollah, how about some service over here? Oh, great. Now my day is complete. Now you can't say I never gave you anything for Father's Day. These better be damn fine steaks for all that bullshit. What for? All the cars in this town seem to be props anyway.
These voice lines were meant to be played at the Lucky Ganesh market.
I knew it. I knew it. Well, I guess I don't have to pay now. You just know there's gonna be some variety of pickled testicles in here somewhere.
These lines are for Dude getting injured.
That's gonna be sore tomorrow. I knew I shouldn't have smoked that crap. Oh, my nads.
And we have a single voice line for him healing.
That's the stuff.
These voice lines are just random taunts that Dude would say when going postal.
Here, catch. I got your affirmative action. I'm sorry. I meant to do this. Sorry, folks. The Bible backs me up on this one. Give me some money. Go long. I'm so wrong.
These voice lines I thought were pretty funny. They were meant to be played when Dude sees a reused NPC model in the game.
Would it be safe to say your family tree is a Mobius loop? Damn, do all these people look alike or what? Definitely some inbreeding going on here. Grandfather of Jimmy Joe Billy Bob, cousin of Johnny Joe Billy Jimbo Bob. Hey look, it's Uncle Dad. Holy shit, I'm not racist. These people really do all look alike.
We have a few lines for, wasting the elderly.
Oh, Medicare ain't covering that. Right about now, I'll bet you feel pretty silly putting all that money into your IRA. Hey, I know, you've fallen and you can't get up. Just call me Dr. Euthanasia.
2 lines for wasting a bum.
Here's some lead for you to recycle. Here's your tax relief.
2 lines for getting lost.
Damn, I'm an idiot. Maybe I should check the map. Shit, bet if I had looked at the map, I'd have known this was blocked.
2 lines for Dude being near death.
Can't we all just get along? If there were stricter gun laws, this sort of thing wouldn't happen.
Some voice lines of Dude breaking out of jail.
Jail, a small slice of urine-stained heaven, with a little sodomy on the side. Hey, they left the door unlocked again. Maybe I should try to escape. No jail can hold me. I'm bored already.
These voice lines are kinda strange. They're labeled as Dude did something cool in the scripts, but it's entirely unknown what that something would have been.
That's definitely gonna be on my permanent record. Well, who'd have thought that would happen? Gee, that wasn't so awful.
These final ones are completely unknown as to what they would have been used for. It almost sounds like you were once able to order food, with the cheese and hot number 2 voice lines. Just my guess, though.
Hey, Liberace, catch. I'd like a hot number 2 to go. Jeez, people must have been pissing on that wall for 1,000 years. Hey, that fucker just stole my wallet. Hey, that asshole just swiped my nuke. There's my cash and a conveniently located power box. Did I ask for cheese? He didn't. I didn't expect that. Hey, former child star, say that Willis thing. No, more.
As we come to the end of the video, it's time for the various oddities I found throughout the game, and sadly, this is the fewest I've covered so far. Did you know that there was a 69th Steam achievement planned to be added? One of the game's developers confirmed that this achievement was related to playing Postal 2 on Linux. Leftover text for this achievement can still be found in the file labeled as p2achievementmanager.uc. The load zones in the game show a glimpse of earlier design stages, like this zone coming from the ghetto to the Greenbelt area. Here you can see an early version of the meat sign. The bushes on the wall seem to be a lot brighter, and the mountain itself was changed a bit. Also, the load zone coming from Main Street to the office complex seemed a little different as well. You can see here that there was no roof over the bridge, and the sign to the left was added much later in development. This elephant I believe was seen in the beta of Postal 2, but its walking animations went unused. It also has a few sounds to go along with it. The first one obviously being its walking sound, and the second is some sort of circus music. In the game, it's labeled as School Circus, so I guess this was going to be used for a circus around a school. There's actually a lot of earlier weapon reloads present in the fpweapons.ukx file. All of these were present in the game's files before the Share the Pain DLC was implemented. Even some weapons that don't need to be reloaded have animations for doing so, like the machine gun, the shotgun, the pistol, and this one's actually really cool. The reloading animation for the revolver has its bullets completely untextured. Kinda makes sense why they didn't use this. In the textures folder, there's a leftover banner of Unreal Tournament. I'm sure this is just a leftover from the game's engine, as Postal 2 runs on Unreal Engine 2. Finally, thanks to Marfitimus Blackamus, we can see what the mugging mechanic would have looked like. This specific event was a scripted event that was supposed to take place outside of the Lucky Ganesh, where this priest would rob you after getting the milk from the store. And that's all I have for Postal 2. A big thanks to Lolcat361 for suggesting this one. I just recently did a poll about which game you guys would like to see next, Modern Warfare 2019 or the OG Modern Warfare 2. And as I figured, Modern Warfare 2 won by a landslide. So that's going to be the next episode. I mainly did that poll to see if there was any interest in the more modern CODs, but don't worry, I plan on doing a video on Modern Warfare 2019 in the future anyway. But as always, if you have a suggestion for the next What Was Cut episode, please feel free to comment down below. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.